Welcome everyone to our third episode of the Weekly Show podcast. My name is Vinnie Rosa, and my other co-host is Jackson Rioux.
What's up, everyone?
And today we have Allison. Allison, I want you to state your last name because me and Jackson butcher it all the time.
It's all right. You're not the only people. It gets butchered a lot. It's Boilard. Pretty much spell the I out as if it's a Y. It's a lot easier that way.
All right. And then we also have, if you guys hear anything weird going on, it's Spencer. This is filming for a documentary class in here, so if you guys hear any weird sounds, it's Spencer. All right. So welcome to the show.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
So first question I want to ask you is what is your role with the Weekly Show the show itself, and what are you doing?
I'm the floor manager, so I'm pretty much making sure everyone in the front on the set is doing what they need to be doing. I'm pretty much the communication for the talent and the director in the back. So it's just me kind of just being there and make sure everything's running smoothly in the front, so that way the whole thing goes okay.
So outside of like the production, what do you do to prepare for your role and stuff in the week, or do you not do much? Because you did a lot of stuff with the set, like our background and everything too.
Yeah, well, I'm an art minor, so I draw a lot, I paint a lot, I do a lot of like artsy, craftsy stuff. So I figured when we were coming up with this set design, I figured, hey, I can probably put my art minor into use and possibly make a backdrop for for the set. So that's kind of the only effort I put in outside of the show, is just getting this design set up.
So what made you want to do floor managing? And just because I know it's a lot of people may think it's like, oh, floor managing, like you don't do much, but there's actually a lot that goes into it, and it's actually a really important role. So what made you want to do it?
Well, I kind of wanted that sense of responsibility. I didn't want to just like sit there and do nothing. So I wanted to be walking around and interacting with everyone. So the floor manager position, when we went to the Meredith Vieira show, I really enjoyed. I just liked seeing their floor manager, how she was running the show. So I really enjoyed it. So I wanted to give it a shot. And I kind of, when I'm focused, I'm kind of bossy, and I don't mean to be. It's just like when I'm in the zone, like I can boss people around to make sure everything's like going well. So I feel like that's a good.
So would you want to do like floor managing when you graduate, or what's something you'd look into doing?
I'm not really sure what I want to do yet specifically. I haven't really done any internships, so I don't know which route I want to go. I just want to kind of see what I like doing, what I don't like doing, and kind of focus in on where I want to go after I graduate. I really don't have any plans right now.
So what was the main reason for joining the show last semester when Dustin and everyone, we were all putting it together? What made you want to join it?
Well, like I said, I've never really had internships, so I felt like this was kind of a minor internship in our studio, just to get to learn a studio, so that way if I do ever go out into another studio or news or anything, I would already have like a basic knowledge of how things run.
And that's a big thing too, because I think we stated this last week, was that you don't need to have an actual internship. A lot of our field is doing something. It doesn't matter if it's on your own, an internship, a job. Yeah. It's just building your resume. And I think we all, when the semester's over, I think we're going to have a quality product. I mean, it's improved each week.
Yeah.
And I'm sure when, I think the show's going to be posted today, I'm sure it's going to be fine, better than last week's too. So I agree with that. And I think if you keep building, but do you have plans to do any internships, or have you started looking anywhere?
Well, I've been just looking to see if there's any like jobs or internships that I can do after I graduate. I'm planning on mostly just working full time and saving up at my current job right now, and I'm in the meantime, while I'm not working, possibly shadow some people that I know, because I know a couple people in production. So I felt like shadowing them or getting internships after I graduate will build my resume. That way I could save money and also work up my resume, so that when I do get a big girl job, it'll be all set to go.
So aside from the production and school and stuff, tell us like a little bit about yourself, like where you came from, what like some hobbies and stuff. What are you doing right now?
Oh gosh. Well, right now I'm just a waitress at Chili's. I've been there for 5.5 years. It's pretty draining, but it's really good money, and I really enjoy it. I enjoy waitressing. I'm really good at it, so I really like doing that. Other than work, You would probably call myself like a crazy dog lady. Um, I know a lot of people that have like dogs or puppies that need to be taken care of while they're at work, so I do that on the side as well. There's 7 different dogs that occasionally like I'll have to go take out and take care of, so that's another thing I do.
See, like, and this is what I think is interesting, is that we're all in school and, you know, we all want to do production, but there's so many things before we actually get into our field that we're doing so many different things.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like each week we're all going to have, when we ask this question, like, everyone's doing a different job or has different things that they're doing. So I
Yeah.
think it's kind of interesting to know where we're doing before we get into production. But so you were telling us you're going to Florida. So
Yeah.
you're going Sunday, you were saying. So what is your plans down in Florida?
Honestly, just to be the biggest beach bum there ever was. Now that there's nice weather out, it's not that bad, but I'm just so sick of the cold. I want to get out in the sun, just lay there and do absolutely nothing. It's going to be fantastic.
Sounds fun.
Yep, and I have some family down there, so one of the days we're probably going to take out of our beach bumming and hang out with them.
So where in Florida is this again?
We're going to Clearwater.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of go in a little bit of a different direction. I want to talk about the show itself.
Okay.
Not necessarily what you're doing, but kind of the whole aspect of it. So what are your thoughts on where we're at right now with the show?
I think we're actually doing a pretty good job because I don't think really any of us have really had any experience actually running a weekly show like we are right now. So not having the experience, we're doing really well. And our first and second, and we'll see how this episode comes out, it's improving every time, and it's a learning process. And we learn from our mistakes each show, and it's coming out really well. I'm pretty proud of us.
What would you say, like, the most important thing you've learned so far from doing the show that you didn't know before the semester started?
Preparation and timing is key when it comes to the show. If we weren't prepared, we were kind of just questioning the whole time, and we would take a lot of time out of what we could be recording. We're just kind of sitting around figuring out what we're doing, and now we pretty much have a plan. We have a set script and everything that we pretty much go off of. So right now our timing is pretty well drawn out, so I think we're getting better.
What's something, because everyone has their own opinion what the show, what they would like, and obviously, like, you know, Dustin has a really big impact on kind of the consistency of it.
Yeah.
But if there was one thing you could change or want to do a little bit differently, what would you like have an idea about?
Well, right now there's only 2 girls, and it's me and Haley that are in the whole group of all these guys. And I feel like when I read the script, a lot of the jokes and everything are kind of more male based that I don't really get. And I don't know, I can't speak for Haley, but it's not really something I find funny or I really know what you guys are talking about. So more towards like going to jokes where it's more like generalized instead of like, I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it. It's just I don't want to sound like I'm being a dumb blonde, but I just don't get some of the jokes. So
what would you do to change that, you think, or what do you want to see, or something where you could build upon that?
I don't really know if there's anything I specifically can do because I'm not the only one watching the show. Like, I can't think about just myself when it comes to these jokes and stuff because I'm sure a lot of other people understand them. Maybe I'm just like one person out of a ton of people that don't get it. But there's really not much I can change about it. I don't know.
Well, you and Haley did do our first episode. You guys did the Oscar segment. I thought that was good, considering, well, from what I got from it. Like,
yeah, well,
would you want to do like more of that? You think there like more correspondence stuff?
No, I don't like really being in front of the camera. I've been in front of the camera when I was really young, and I got that out of my system. So I like being behind the scenes and everything. I actually just learned about that correspondent thing for the Oscars the day or two beforehand, so I wasn't really prepared. So we kind of just wung it and see how it went.
Wung it?
Is
that a thing?
Wing it. We winged it. I don't know.
So I want kind of your opinion on this. Is that, like, my opinion is more of that the show should be a little bit shorter because I think that I don't want to say we're lacking in content because we have content, but I think like some of the shows is kind of drag. Not in a bad way, but we could probably make them shorter to where people would actually could actually watch the whole thing. I hear a lot of people so far saying that they're watching and they're skipping parts. But I think this week's a little bit different because we're gonna have, you know, the laughter. Like, it's not that awkward silence we've been having. So what would you say is like, would you like to see the show shorter?
I wouldn't per se say the show in general to be shorter. I just think some of the clips that we add in could be shorter. Like I brought it up at our last meeting before we did our recording on Tuesday to Dustin. Just some of the clips that we add in post-production, they're very long and dragged out, and I even, when I was watching it, I kind of skipped over. After I got the point, I kind of fast-forwarded it. And so it's those things that I think when we're editing, it's something that we can keep an eye out for. Like, is this too long? Is this dragging on? Like, can we make it shorter to make it more appealing? Like, it's just stuff like that we can do.
Yeah, and it seems like I think we already started going towards that for episode 3 after what a lot of people recommended. So I know we have a St. Patrick's Day skit and stuff we're doing, and it's pretty funny, but it did need to be shorter, and it's going to be shorter in the final version and all that. But I would say I think I agree with you guys I don't know if the length really needs to be different. As long as we have good content, I think the length is all right, but you just can't, like, not to use the old phrase, like, beat a dead horse, like, some clips could be shorter, I think.
Absolutely. And we talked about that yesterday when we were editing with Dustin. And you know, Dustin's more of one of the... Because since he's the host, he's kind of like one of the head editors. Because he wants to see his vision.
Yeah, he has a vision.
And I think, like, sometimes it's so hard, especially because we were like... There was like 5 of us yesterday. And it was like, you have 5 minds, and we all have different ways of what we view of the show.
Yeah.
But I think we're all kind of coming around saying, you know, we're learning, like, each week. We're not doing the same thing, and I think that's what's making it fresh, because every week it's improved, and I think it's because we haven't done the same thing each week. Now, would you agree with that?
I would. I feel like we need to have a certain way how we want to run the show and how, like, the style we want to run the show, but we don't want to keep repeating ourselves either.
Spencer banging in the walls over here. It's all right.
One loose panel, I need to lean against.
I'm sorry, I lost me.
Oh, you were saying about, like, how we're just making the show fresh, like, every week doing different.
Yeah, just the content. I mean, clearly there's more and more things going on that we could talk about on the show, so I think the content that we come across is really, it's relevant and it's new and it's keeping our show, like, flowing and fresh and everything else, but we need to figure out a style that we want our show to look like. We can't, like, have a completely different show every single week. We at least need to have, like, the same basic style going.
See, I like how it's different every week, because, you know, a lot of people want to stay ordinary and stay the same, and I think, like, if we switch it up every week, not, like, drastically, but, like, improving-wise, I think it gives people, like, interested to watch what are they gonna do next week, what are they gonna talk about next week. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, you know, you need to set, like, a specific thing, and I'm like, I don't necessarily think so.
Yeah, see, well, I'm not talking about, like, I'm just talking about, like, how we have, like, the desk monologue, and then we have the guests, and then we have, like, the closing segment. It's just, like, those type of things where we have, like, an order that we go on. It's not necessarily, like, how we do it or what we do it about. It's just the fact that we have, like, a lineup of how we usually do things. And, like, that's pretty much, that way we have an outline for how we want to do the other ones.
So this is your last semester at Central, right?
Yep.
All right, so congratulations, obviously. But so after this semester, what's one thing you want to say that you took from your college experience and the show specifically, like with this last semester?
Well, all through my semesters here, I commute, so I was pretty much just going to class and then going home and then going to class and going home. I didn't really, like, socialize at all with anyone. But with this show, it actually kind of gave me, like, I don't want to say, like, a family, but kind of like a family, just, like, because we're always talking on Facebook, like, coordinating what we're going to be doing, like, we're planning on going out and, like, kind of doing, like, show retreats, if that's what you want to call it.
Hooters.
Yeah. Hooters. So it's more just, I've never been one to make friends because I'm very to myself a lot.
So you're like a couch critter in the student center?
No, see, I'm more of a car critter. If, like, it was in between classes, I would just sit in my car and do absolutely nothing, like, be on my phone or anything. I wouldn't really socialize, but with this show, I have more social aspects, I would get to say. So having you guys, I'm sure we'll stay friends after I graduate.
And that's funny you mentioned that, because I was just talking to you about this yesterday, and Corey, and a couple other guys, and we were saying, like, I came on the show and I was like, I didn't think I thought we were gonna come and leave.
Yeah.
And it's become, like you said, kind of like a family. We've all become we go out, we hang out with each other, we're playing.
We hate each other. We love each other.
We yell at each other.
And it's funny to me because I don't think you hear about this too often. And I think that's why, like, in most cases with a group of people, they probably would just go to class and leave and not hang out. Like, we actually message each other. Like, I sent out a message last night saying, let's get together for Friday. And everyone's like, yeah, let's, like, where? And I think that's neat. And it's like we're all from different towns. And everyone still wants to get together. Like, we don't care. Like, you live in Seymour and I live in Bristol. It's like an hour drive for me, but I'm gonna still go. So it's
walk 1,000 miles.
So it's like, I think it's neat, and I think that's what's making us better each week is because we're getting to know each other, and I think we're all from different places, so it makes it fresh, and I think everyone's got ideas, and I think if we keep doing that, the show will continue to get better and more interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd say we have a bond. Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely never had that from any of my other classes, really. Coming to college, you just kind of go to class. You're like, oh, okay, talk about this, talk about that. All right, I'll see you next week. And then we're always in contact.
Yeah.
It's funny, though, because if you think about it, none of us really were, like, friends until this show. Like, and we've had classes together.
Yeah.
And that's the weird thing about it.
No, yeah, for example, like, me and Spencer, we've had at least one class every semester, probably since my junior year, and I'm in my senior year. We've had at least one class with each other every semester, and we've never really hung out or really talked. We kind of just, like, talked in our classes, but other than that, it wasn't really anything. But now that we're in the show, I mean, it's like we know someone, you know.
Now he's meeting you on the Friday before spring break, videotaping us doing a podcast in a small room.
Yeah.
Dedicated.
So I think it's neat. I just think it's really neat. I don't understand why we weren't really friends. Like, I never spoke to him. I had 2 classes with him until now, and I'm like best friends with the damn kid. But it's funny how things work out. And I think, like you said, even when, you know, because you're graduating, I still think that we'll be in contact even after, because when you get a job, I can go to you and say, hey, you know, who should I talk to? Like, what'd you do to get in somewhere? Like, do you need help with something? And I think that's what it's all about, is helping each other and just kind of, you know.
We have a base friendship that we can always go back to. Like, you always, I mean, yeah, TV shows, movies, you see friends, like, reuniting after college, you know? And so I think it'll be kind of that thing, like, hey, I went to college with you, and now we're co-workers. It's pretty fun.
So are you going to take that mug with you when you leave, or do we get to keep that?
Nope. The weekly show mug I paid good money for, and it took me a while to make it, or to get it made, so I'm taking that back kind of as it's my little symbolic college cup.
So I think I asked Corey this, but as a group, how would you define the people of the weekly show?
Oh boy. I mean, we have a lot of different characters that work on the show.
All right, explain a little more.
Well, I mean, it's nothing bad. It's just we all, like you said, we all come from different places. We all have done different things, and so we're just all very different people. Like, Dustin, he's just out there. Like, once you get to know him, I mean, at first, you never, I don't know how to say it. At first, like, you just thought he was crazy. But then you get to know him, and he's really nice. He's really funny. He has his own little quirkiness to him. So I think it brings a lot to the show, just him being a host. I think he does a really good job. And then I don't really know.
But I think you're
I don't
one of the best
pinpoint people.
No, but I really do.
She's running through the whole cast right here.
I think you got one of the best personalities in the
thanks.
thing, because, you know, you don't really take any crap from anyone.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny because every week, you know, because me and you are right next to each other, because I'm on camera one, you're right next to me floor directing, and it's funny because me and you will joke about people in the thing, because, and I laugh at you half the time because you're yelling at everyone and you're telling, you know, sit down and, like, you know, shut up, stop talking, and I get fun out of it because, I mean, you don't get to experience that because I'm on the floor.
Only when Andrew doesn't put on his headset.
Oh my God, it's so irritating.
All right, so what's your biggest pet peeve then? Would you say
when I'm trying to talk to Andrew and he's just walking around the back without his headphones on. I mean, yeah, we're in a break. We're not recording. We're not really doing much. But if I still need to contact and ask a question, I can't really do that without, like, hitting the glass to knock on the glass to get his attention. That's probably a pet peeve. I mean, it'll work itself out eventually, but
we worked on, you know, and speaking of working on things too, I think we cut down almost by a half hour last time. So Jax, do you want to go in a little detail of what we did to kind of change the way, I don't want to say wasting so much time, but basically wasting so much time.
We tightened it up a lot because not everybody can get there. The listeners of the podcast know not everybody gets there right at 3:30 or 3:15. So it's just easy to bang out the monologue, or not the monologue, the opening and the closing statements because they're pretty simple. And we just did them before everybody was there, and I think it really showed like our what's the word I'm looking for? Versatility.
Yeah.
Word of the day right there. Because when you don't have everybody there, it doesn't mean you can't still do something. You don't have to just sit around and plan or rehearse. But once we have everything together, we filmed the opening and closing, and I think it set the tone for the rest of the show that day, and everything went really smooth. So
yeah, because we were kind of just like always sitting around, really not doing much until everybody else showed up. We would plan out what we're going to be doing, but we didn't really do much. So now that we started doing everything right away, it really made us get out a lot earlier. Before we weren't getting out until like 6:30, almost 7. Last time we got
later
out
sometimes.
Yeah, last time we got out before 6. And that's another thing that like is kind of in my job description. Like when we weren't recording, a lot of people were just like conversing and talking, and we weren't really doing much, but I would just sit there and I'd be like, well, we're wasting time. Like, what do we need to do? What can we do? Like, let's just do what we need to do, kind of thing. So
I think that's the beauty of it too. I think everyone kind of is getting into their roles. Like I've, what I usually, because I'm producing too, and Corey as well, and it's just like what I've been doing too even after is like when the guests get there, I basically kind of take care of the guests. Like I'll, make sure they need anything, if they, know the questions. I even been messaging them on Facebook just saying like thank you for coming on and hopefully we can have you again. And I think you play your role really well, as everyone else does too.
Yeah, I would say we gel together for the most part pretty well. So. I would say just about all of us and stuff. So
yeah, I don't think there'll be too much opinionated stuff just because we know where we are and what we're supposed to be doing. So.
All right, so one last thing though. All right, so I was
I had
to bring this up. All right, so I was like on LinkedIn the other day or whatever. And then, like, your name popped up, and it said sales floor manager at the weekly show.
Yeah, I don't know why I auto-corrected to that. I tried changing it back. Well, because I saw, like, I think it was Andrew and a couple other people that are on the show. They put, like, their roles that they do on the show. I was like, oh, that's a good idea. That way, like, people that look at your LinkedIn, like, know what you're doing. But when I typed in floor manager for the weekly show, it auto-corrected to sales floor manager. So once I like saved it and tried editing it again, it wouldn't go away. So I'll probably have to delete it altogether because I'm not a sales floor manager.
Not that we know
weird.
of, at least.
No, I'm not.
You're not selling anything.
No.
So that would be concluding our weekly show podcast for today. I want to say thank you to Allison,
Of course.
and Spencer for filming this.
Thanks,
You'll
Spencer.
probably see some visuals this time.
Really hot in here.
All right, so
That too.
we need to get out of here because Spencer's pretty hot. And not in that way. It's just,
Temperature-wise.
Hotter than
temperature-wise, yeah. And on that note, that's our show. I'm Vinnie Rosa.
I'm Jackson Rioux. Thanks for listening.